At the end of January, the weather deteriorated in Kursk region, which made it impossible to continue fighting on both sides of the front for some time. The Ukrainian forces were the first to come to their senses, and on February 6th, they started an offensive in the area of Ulanok from the direction of Sudzha and Makhnovka. On the Kolmakov side, in the direction of Ruskaya Konopelka, the attempted breakthrough was stopped at once, while to the south, in the direction of Ulanok, partially armored groups of the AFU managed to break through. In Cherkasskaya, Konopelka, and Fanasivka, the enemy landed a landing force of equipment and continued to move towards Ulanok, but was unable to reach the outskirts. The Ukrainian forces were stopped in the forests. Thanks to the competent work of Russian drone operators, Russian troops stopped the advance of Ukrainian forces and then began to pull in reserves. This made it possible to scorch the enemy's armored vehicles and transports, as well as to paralyze supply and rotation. But it was not possible to clear the captured Fanaseyevka and Cherkasskaya Konopelka at once. As the enemy's reserves were transferred to Sudzha, the AFU did not have enough forces to hold the defenses on the western flank. Russian paratroopers broke through the defenses in Sverdlikovo and began to take control of the state border. Clearing the adjacent forest belts and strongholds remained a matter of time, even taking into account the enemy counterattacks and heavy fighting. By February 17th, Sverdlikovo was completely liberated, and the enemy repeatedly tried to regain the initiative after that. After taking control of the border, Russian troops entered Sumy region at the Juravka-Novinkoye border, aiming to cut the enemy's logistics. On the Yunakovka-Sudzha highway, Russian UAV operators are burning vehicles of Ukrainian forces by the dozens, and in some places, graveyards of equipment are already appearing. At the same time, fighting did not stop on the eastern flank. After regrouping, Russian troops scorched the occupied landings and positions near Cherkasskaya, Konopelka, and Fanasivka with drones and artillery. As a result, most of the territory lost during the AFU's February surge was recaptured by February 22nd. At the same time, the north got revitalized. The zone of control along the Malaya-Lokhnya River remained unchanged despite heavy fighting for quite some time. By February 25th, the enemy had been knocked out of Pogrebki and Orlovka, as well as Marevka. A little later, Novaya Sorochina was liberated. As a result, the enemy was knocked out of the western bank of the Malaya-Lokhnya River. At the same time, fighting began for Lebedevka, a small village where heavy fighting has been going on for almost 2 weeks. Ukrainian troops are desperately resisting, preventing them from finally cutting off the occupiers' supply. Despite the failures of February, the AFU has not given up its plans to attack Russian territory, and they don't plan to reduce their presence in the Kursk region. Meanwhile, new bodies of civilians tortured to death by Ukrainian revengers are being found in liberated settlements in the Russian border region. And now, a new phase of the operation to liberate Kursk region from Ukrainian occupation has begun. The Russian troops are advancing in several areas at once. In the first days of March, Russian troops managed to carry out a successful diversion by blowing up a bridge over the Lokhnya River, which will inevitably affect the enemy's supplies on the eastern bank, in Cherkasko, Poreshnoe, and Martinovka.